Good morning to everyone, distinguished guests, faculty members, and my dear friends. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all the guest lecture organized by the Department of Physiotherapy, Royal School of Medical Health and Allied Science. I, Juminyodio of MPT second semester, will be your host for today's event. We are honored to have with us today an expert, Prateek Barbora sir, health and fitness coach, who will share his insight experiences. His contribution is invaluable, and we look forward to a day filled with stimulating discussion and enlightening perspective. Royal Global University is the fifth private university of Assam, established in 2017. Stands high with its virtues of excellence and a humble contribution to the society at large. Royal Global University offers a unique education experience that prepares the next generation of global citizens to lead and make a difference in the world with its talented and motivated student body and accomplished faculty. Royal Global University is a leading education hub in Northeastern region. The faculty members work closely with students to solve major scientific technologies and society challenges. Royal Global University ensures that its students are transformed into the well-rounded industry ready individuals who are equipped to take on leadership responsibilities. To one and all present here, it's my honor to introduce our esteemed guest, Prateek Barbora sir, fitness coach and nutritionist, Assam Badminton Academy. Prateek Barbora sir has an impressive work experience in health and fitness field from 2010 till date. He completed his bachelor in holistic health science from Quantum University, Hawaii, and health certification in human anatomy and physiological heart rate variability assessment, cognitive motor training, science of exercises, biofeedback, metabolic nutrition, or sports nutrition. He has been serving in this field since 2010 and was a health and fitness consultant, Gold Gym 2015 to 2020. He's been appointed as Director in Fitness Science 2022. His work not only impacted the community, but it has also inspired countless individuals to reach their fitness goal. Thank you so much, sir, for carving out time for us despite your busy schedule. We are very much privileged to have you amongst us. So as a token of our appreciation, I would like to invite on stage Prateek Barbora sir, and I requested our HOD Dr. Lopa Das ma'am to kindly present this token. As we embark on its intellectual journey, I encourage everyone to engage activity, ask questions, and participate in dialogue. Let us make the most of this opportunity to learn from one another. We welcome you again, sir. The mic is all yours.
So as you can see, I am equally enthusiastic. I stood up even before I was called. It's also because I have deep respect for this physiotherapy department, because in medical science, I think this is one of the only departments that actually tries to save the person till the last, tries to, not operate or prescribe medicines. And in my experience at least, so even when there's a ACL tear, in my career and my friends' careers, I've seen so many ACL tears where physiotherapist is the last person to say go for a surgery, because they'll try and save even if there's a partial tear up to 90%. So, so they have deep respect and gratitude, because I have been helped a lot of times with my dear friend, Dr. Preetam Deka. So, I had 2 hamstring tears on the right and the left when I was still playing cricket, because that is how I came into this line. I was a professional cricketer, but I did not have the good fortune like you guys to, get such kind of beautiful institutions which are so technologically advanced, and you guys are really lucky, So sometimes I envy you, but now there is at least some hope for us also because of the new government, and you can still start studying. So before I begin, I had asked you a question that what do you understand by advanced sports nutrition? What can be advanced? Like usually, USA is advanced, they say, what is advanced? Anybody who wants to speak up can raise up their hand. I'll just take 2 people. See, there is no mistake, okay? Nobody is wrong. Human brain is designed to make mistake and learn. So nobody is going to be perfect. The more mistakes you make, the more mental cues you will make and you will learn faster, okay? So anybody? So you need to increase your confidence. Make a mistake, doesn't matter. That is the difference between what I have seen in students abroad and here. They are not afraid to make mistakes. Should I point out and ask someone? Very good. Effectiveness in short period of time. Yes, definitely, that is there. But what is advanced? So now we are using a lot of biomarkers. Biomarkers are basically, things like your blood report, which earlier nutritionists were not using. So people like I have started using, just how doctors read the blood reports, we also read, because that is something which gives us the state of a person's performance, okay? So the blood glucose level and all. I'll be coming to that. And we use AI. Now we are using a lot of computers and AI to predict a pattern. Where is the person going wrong? So nowadays we have 24-hour glucose monitors where gives us a state on where the energy dip is going to come. We track the sleep. We have sleep tracker apps which tell us what is more likely for an energy peak in the person. And if a person is going abroad, obviously the whole circadian rhythm shifts. So when you go to the west, the circadian rhythm shifts towards later part of the day. So these things help us a lot. Now before I start, I want to play you this video because this tells us gives us a very important message. After all, we are all human beings, right? We get influenced by our peers. So let me play this video. This is a 4-minute short video and then you'll understand what I mean. No problem. So okay, now what is the most important technology which probably human beings will never come close to? Is nature. Nature has designed the human body in such a beautiful way that if you respect it and not work against it or try to change it, we will always succeed, okay? Like the circadian rhythm and all, you'll understand. So now let us divide the human life into a clock and the existence of Earth in a clock of 24 hours. So if Earth life has existed for 24 hours, humans have only existed for 4 seconds when we compare. So all this evolution and everything that has happened, you can see how powerful it is. So now nature does not care about right or wrong, religion, culture. It only cares about balance and cooperation, okay? A lot of our myths are cultural based. Like for example, recently there was a big movement for veganism and not having dairy products and this and that. But we'll come to that. It's very idiosyncratic, means every human being responds differently. Now, before I always start, I tell people that your intentions are done by your conscious mind. Now, this is basically in a speed of, I'm trying to show you how a processor works, because we all understand computers and chips. So our conscious mind has only this much speed. It's 40 nano impulse per second. But if you can see, our subconscious is 1 million times faster. So when you're using your subconscious, why do we practice so much? Why do we study? We teach our subconscious to learn because its processing speed is much faster. So when we are training athletes or giving them nutrition tips and all, we want to teach their subconscious to know what to do, rather than, because that athlete is already overstressed with physical activity, and then they have so much of competition nowadays. So we don't want to tax their conscious anyways, which is not as efficient. So we try and make it more instinctive. That is where I finished my latest certification in cognitive motor training. So even before the person realizes, his subconscious knows what to do. Okay, reaction time basically. Now, what is stress? A lot of people is like, okay, there is physical stress. ultimately what does the body look at stress as? So the stress response in the body, which is known as the HPA axis, the brain perceives something as stress, or when your blood markers change, the hypothalamus perceives something. It's always reading your blood levels, and that signals the pituitary gland, which is the master gland, to produce cortisol, because this is very important when it comes to sports performance, because this is our survival hormone, and in sports also, or whenever you're nervous, this is the hormone, the adrenaline, that kicks in and gives you that immediate burst of energy. Now for a student or a sports person, the most important thing, which is non-negotiable when it comes to nutrition or any sports performance, is sleep. There are two stages, which is the rapid eye movement, which is your deep sleep, and non-REM. So later on I will show you how we assess all this and how do we find out if an athlete is properly rested, because in sleep everything depends. His digestive system, his nervous system will depend on it. The nervous system basically helps us recover, right, and signals the body on what to do. So now when we come to the biorhythm, this is a normal cycle of every human being, which nowadays, because of elevated activities or stress, it has completely shifted. So we attempt to balance this using advanced technologies. Nowadays we can find out. So what we do is we use biomarkers. We find out their cortisol in AM, and then we see their cortisol in PM, because if the cortisol is elevated in PM, the process is going to delay. The person will not obviously sleep well, will not absorb the nutrients well. So we study that. Now what are biomarkers? Like I told you, now this comes to advanced sports nutrition. So it's a marker that we gain our biology, okay? From our biology, it can come from a ratio or a calculation, okay? So we have different calculations to find out dehydration, to find out blood glucose, cortisol, like we said. So it's the interpretation. Everybody, like a person with my experience, we now know how to interpret and individually find out what is going on. There is no, there are no law of averages here where studies, because this is a very, very new field. You're just entering. So everything is very impromptu and people are, doing. Now when the next one, so blood biomarkers are something which is somewhat chronic and in your past. So your blood report will be from probably yesterday, right? Now what is your state today, like just before the match? So what do we do? So we use heart rate variability, which is one of the most accurate. It's being used in medicine now. It's one of the most evolved and very accurate when it comes to giving you the status of the person in the moment, in the present moment. So this is basically my heart rate variability. So what do we look for in a person? So the mean heart rate range, how much has it improved according to the age? Then we see what is the resting heart rate, which everybody knows about. So at that moment, it was still elevated. A super trained person will be almost sub 60, depending on the sport, obviously. SDNN is your sympathetic branch, and how much load can you handle? How much stress can you handle before you go into overload or you get stressed? For example, someone gets stressed, can be mental, can be physical, anything. RMSSD is your recovery branch, which is very important when it comes to nutrition, because all your absorption will happen because of this. But this does give me an insight. A person who recovers slow will have according to age, will have a lower threshold. But this also gives me a thing that this person has more power. Okay, so usually in about 3,000 odd tests that I have done, 95% of the time I've seen a person with a lower recovery threshold has more power, has more fast twitch fibers. Obviously they have slow recovery because of the less blood flow, as you guys know. And some people have a very good balance, like both of them are full, so but they are exceptional, very few people. Then normalized coherence. Now what is this normalized coherence? Lot of you don't know. We know that what is the first organ which is formed in a human body? The heart. Why not the brain? We consider the brain the most important. Do you think nature makes mistakes? Why did the brain evolve later and the heart first? Stand up and say, don't, Mamar, come on. You. Okay, it does supply. What else can be the thing? Do you think it communicates with every cell? You think so? Yeah. So there are 4 different ways the human heart communicates with every human cell. So this is very important when it comes to recovery. The pulse, there is an electronic feedback, there is an electromagnetic energy field. Okay. Have you ever met someone new and suddenly you've got a positive vibe, or you've suddenly feel something is not right? So because of the we've evolved to speak and language, we started discarding this very important thing, which is the sensing of our electromagnetic field, which is a very important cue. So you'll see how we measure that and how it is important for our cells. So, and then obviously there is blood flow. So the human heart, right from we were even formed as a human being, communicates with every cell. An electromagnetic pulse is sent, and the body knows that the status of the body is good. Now if you're under threat, do you think your cells will protect itself or give out energy or repair itself? If there is a war, like how Israel is in war right now, do you think Israel is making buildings right now? No, right? So the human body, human cell is not repairing itself when it is under threat. So we find out what is wrong, how to improve it. See, problems, you can see 10. Well, what is the solution? So we try and improve the athletes, in this case, athletes normalize coherence, which is our heart also has a small brain. Okay, a lot of you don't know about this. It's known as the intrinsic cardiac ganglia. It is 40,000 specialized cells which has neuroplasticity. It rearranges. It has memory. Okay, just like muscle memory, it has a memory. And there has been studies on this. I'll give you a small story. A little girl got a heart transplant when she was 12. Suddenly after the transplant, which was successful, she started having nightmares of someone chasing her and then choking her to death. And then suddenly everybody's like, what the hell is wrong with her? Everything was right and this has never happened to her. Why is she feeling this? Then they send her to a psychologist and a psychiatrist. So this girl, once she got counseled, the psychiatrist realized that there was something deeply wrong. So then they saw the pattern, they saw these are dreams, these are nightmares. So then when this girl started clearly saying that it happened in this place and this happened, this little girl, then they found out that the victim who had given her the heart had been killed by someone. And this girl, this is in the US papers, okay? So this is not something, just a story. So through that memory, that girl solved the previous girls, the donor's murder, and that person was caught. So there are a lot of stories, but this was something very interesting, made a very deep impact in my life and my research work. So I'm telling you how important this is. Okay, so now coming to the next thing. How do we use it? Now this is my chronic, like almost 98 sessions I have recorded of my sessions. So, and this tells me now all my athletes all over the world, wherever they're traveling, I train your athletes like triathlon, which is non-stop swimming, then cycling, and then marathon, which lasts for almost 16 hours. Then people, this is one marathon, or this is triathlon, which is known as the Ironman. There are ultra Ironmans also, which people do 5 in a week. So you can imagine the kind of fitness they need to build and how important this is. So my athletes, they have a device like a phone. They'll take their morning status, it'll get uploaded in the cloud, and I can see their status. So I can immediately tell them, okay, if you've not rested well, change your diet, change your supplementation, get rested. So this is what I mean by advanced supplementation. So I always think, 5 years down the line, like, from my competition. Now we'll do this exercise with one of you as a volunteer. I'll show you. This is your, basically green means your body is producing more anabolic hormones, which is known as DHEA. And in the red, it will produce more cortisol. So cortisol is a good survival hormone, but the effect shouldn't be chronic. So how do we take a person into recovery immediately? So this is your nervous system rhythm, okay? So higher your normalized coherence, the better your sine wave will be. And you at this, can you see that 0.1, you'll see a big spike. That is where all the cells align. Our human body is always vibrating, okay? So when you are in a perfect rhythm, you will start producing energy in a straight peak where all the cells know, okay, this is the time to recover. This is done with the higher the normalized coherence. So within 2 minutes, I was already in that. Okay, so with more practice, you get better and better at this. And this also gives me a status, like this is the positive one, this is negative. So that day I wasn't rested well, I had inflammation in my body. So you can see towards the lower end of the spectrum, higher end of the spectrum, you'll see these waves. So that day I had soreness in my body. Okay, then I hadn't slept well because of soreness and inflammation. So at 0 you'll see that is where when you're stressed, you'll see an activity closer to 0. And ultimately, I did come into repair and anabolic hormone state in between. So it recorded. So this is how we find out at the present. See, I cannot go for a blood report and try and wait for it when my athlete is going into competition within hours, right? So what do? And with nutrition, you only help your body come to a good state. Your body ultimately does it itself. Food is just your building blocks. Now, everybody knows about hydration. After sleep and nervous system balance, hydration is something very important. These are your normal things everybody will say in nutrition. Oh, 70% to 75% is water, increase your water intake, 2% of body weight loss, 10%, all these are, arbitrary figures that are given, drink to normalize weight loss. But am I going to weigh the person and see during athlete? Okay, I will weigh, I'll see the difference, but I have to wait for him to lose water or gain water. I don't have time for that, right? So what do? And it will only tell me the weight of the body, the mass of water in his body. But is it intracellular? Is it extracellular? What is it? Does he need more sodium? Does he need more magnesium, potassium? What is it? So how do we find out? We come to blood biomarkers. Hemoglobin, hematocrit, albumin. Okay. Now, if we have to find out it's acute, yesterday was hot, the person hematocrit and hemoglobin are normal, elevated, and albumin is not. So it's acute dehydration. So we immediately tell them, okay, have electrol or have a sports drink, take rest, okay. And another thing, next slide it will come. Then if 3 of them are elevated, that is chronic dehydration. And I'm telling you, in India, I train so many athletes. I'm training a 14-year-old cricketer, a 16-year-old women cricketer, badminton players. They are all chronically dehydrated because they don't know about dehydration. They think drinking water is enough. That during your sports, you have to drink energy drinks, which is nothing. A 10 rupee packet of electrol will elevate your performance instantly. The Badminton Academy did not qualify for 2 years in the national games. I joined them within 6 months. Not only did they qualify, the women's team got gold. And men's team got bronze. Why? I just changed all these things. I did not do anything. I trained them with exercises obviously, but I schooled them. I had online classes for them, on what to do, what not to do. And then we have very simple hacks. Nowadays everybody wants to learn about hacks and biohacking the body through Instagram. So what we do is, cold water gets absorbed faster through the intestine. But if it's a endurance sport, what we do is we give them a crushed ice slurry. Okay, provided they don't have sensitive throats, we give them to improve their endurance in the sport. When it is very hot and humid and the other cooling mechanisms are not effective, especially in a hot and humid climate like Northeast in Assam, they don't have air conditioning in the badminton academy, so they sweat a lot, and then the sweat doesn't dry. So what do we do to cool the body? We use hacks like this. So this is all what comes in your advance. Obviously everybody knows alcohol is a no-no for athlete. It dries your soft tissues, dehydrates. But do you know about what it does to your brain? This is the social drinker. See, I can only give powerful proofs to my athletes. Most of them are adults. I cannot stop them from leading their life outside the performance arena. So I show them, see, this is what happens when you have a drink every weekend. Who wants to lose brain cells at this age? In their 20s, when they are in their peak. But then I also tell them, if you listen to me, the same person completely stopping alcohol, do you think this will make an effect in the athlete's performance? Yes or no? Obviously it will. So just by saying to youngsters, they don't listen. You are too advanced right now. So you want proof. So I give visual proof. It's better to show a picture than say 1,000 words. Now someone was asking me about, are you going to speak about the window? Because I tell people that I also give fat loss lectures as well to students, and how important it is, weight loss. So how you can trick your body to feed the muscle but burn fat, deprive the fat cell. So basically when you exercise for 2 hours, you have a window. You can see how much of carbohydrates can be absorbed right after your training session. So I tell athletes, please eat. You need to resynthesize your muscle glycogen. Please eat within 2 hours. After that, you can see it's only 50%. So the person has a training session next day, or a performance or a competitive sport, 50% will make a very big difference in sport. Just 1%, 2% changes entire game. Okay, so this is what we study. We tell them about the feeding window. Now this, okay, if you've eaten the same amount of food after 2 hours, what happens? Your body is not going to discard it. It's going to redirect it to the fat cells. That is why people gain weight. They are inactive. This will only happen after activity. Your body is 20 times more sensitive to carbohydrates than when you don't exercise. Okay, so this is what we do. We want fuller muscles, because that's the repository for immune system. Again, when it comes to biomarkers, we also study the immune system, because your immune system does all the repair. So everything in your body is repaired by your immune system. So depending on what level of white blood cells you have, how well you are feeding. So assuming everything is done well. So this is a presentation. I don't know if the volume will come. Oh, this doesn't have volume, so I can tell you. So basically, what is muscle glycogen resynthesis? So that is your blood sugar, how insulin comes and binds into the receptor. So these are the people who don't understand or know about, like you guys still know a lot about muscle glycogen. So these are the functions. Now how does that get disrupted? So the next thing, this is an ideal situation where the glucose transporter is working and the the no entry into the muscle cell has opened. Now people with diabetes, lot of people I train have type 1 diabetes. So I show them like this is the problem and how we can work with adjusting your insulin long term, short term. So this is someone who has type 1 diabetes and there is no insulin. So obviously the carrier is not signaled to come and absorb the blood glucose, and there is no muscle glycogen resynthesis. So they are insulin dependent. After this, type 2 diabetes, which even youngsters are getting because of junk food. What is the mechanism? Why it doesn't happen? So when you eat all the fried food, why is fried food a no-no for everyone nowadays? And especially people in sports. So there is something known as intramyocellular lipid, which is fat that has entered into the muscle cell. That will disrupt the, I'm sorry, I'll just skip it. So that disrupts the mechanism and this glucose transport mechanism is hindered. So we try and cut out animal fats and reduce animal based foods. Not all animal, we give them the lean, but why we try and reduce is like dairy products, which I don't support. There are a lot of people who do, but depending on genetic predisposition, some people handle lactose very well, some people don't. They have gut inflammation. So that's why I try to cut it out and then try and reintroduce, because we also have to think about the athlete's mental satisfaction. If they are culturally taught that drinking or milk or enjoying yogurt is okay for them, then we keep it post workout, where they will use it up for energy and not store it in the body. So we give them the lean meats. But what we tell them is everybody should, including sports people or you guys, should go for whole foods. What are whole foods? Like for example, beetroot. It increases nitric oxide production in the body. It amplifies your power and your muscle signaling. Okay, so your motor signaling improves by 20% just by ingesting 1 glass of beetroot juice. So you're more alert, your nervous system is more focused. So why not use that edge? Then there are different legumes, for example, cleans cholesterol out of your body. It feeds your gut microbiota. We'll be coming to that. So the gut microbiota is now being studied, which works in a very synergistic way. It helps us break down food better, produces short chain fatty acids, which are super fuel for your brain and your performance. Now, why elevated cholesterol levels is that? Then pro-inflammatory, like I said, they have growth hormones in them. So we try and reduce it. I am not saying that, don't eat, but you have to know the window where to eat. Okay, no food is good or bad. You have to understand there is a right timing. If you eat a very heavy non-vegetarian pre-workout, you will become slow in your match. Because you need so much energy to digest protein. That is why we tell them to have it at night or post the training session, because we want them alert and as vigilant as possible. Now this is a video. I just hope the audio runs. This is a very powerful. Just a sec.
An experiment to help answer that question was being conducted by Dr. Robert Vogel.
These are one of the world's most highly paid athletes.
What you eat immediately before an athletic endeavor really can have major impact on how you perform. There is a direct correlation between a meal and endothelial function. The endothelium is a lining of blood vessels. It regulates blood flow throughout the body. It knows that a particular muscle group or organ needs more blood flow. means it opens up. When the endothelium is impaired, it cannot open up. It cannot allow blood flow to increase as much, and therefore impairs athletic performance.
The test subjects were 3 football players from the Miami Dolphins, defensive back Michael Thomas, and wide receivers Griff Whalen and Kenny Stills.
Today we're going to be feeding them 3 burrito breakfasts with a lot of protein. 2 of them have sources of animal-based protein and fat. One is from beef, one is from chicken. Third is a plant-based burrito which has beans in it, so the protein and the fat came from a plant-based source. Tomorrow we're going to feed them all bean burritos. We're looking at the impact of eating a different meal on the same people.
Here's the beef. Chicken here.
Thank you.
Griff has been plant-based for 4 years, so he got bean burritos on both days.
On away games, we always eat fried chicken. We eat Popeyes. I love fried chicken. I love Popeyes, and I'm gonna eat Popeyes every time.
2 hours after each meal, the players had their blood drawn and put into a centrifuge.
Notice
Red
2
blood
hours,
cells
very
sink to
important.
the bottom. An amber-colored fluid called plasma rises to the top. If the plasma is see-through, it means there's not much fat in the blood, and the endothelium is likely functioning well.
Michael, today's blood and yesterday's blood. This is a plant burrito. This is a meat burrito. Look at the difference it makes in what circulates in your bloodstream. Cloudy, and that's on top is the fat circulating in your blood from the meat burrito.
Gotcha.
Griff, you're the vegan. Here's your blood from today and your blood from yesterday. Nice and clear, both of them.
So the fat from the avocado doesn't have that kind of effect?
That's right. Kenny, you're the fried chicken guy. You want to see your chicken? There it is.
That's pretty gross to see.
Sources of animal-based protein and fat have a tremendous impact on endothelial function that lasts for 6 or 7 hours after you eat. So if you have bacon and eggs for breakfast, a hamburger for lunch, and a steak for dinner, this is going on all day long. Your blood is always cloudy, and the ability to operate at your best is always impaired.
And I guess I won't be eating my fried chicken no more.
Dr. Vogel's experiment was backed up by
So basically, what I wanted to show you was, so I'm not here to propagate veganism. It's about learning from every school of thought. If it helps my athlete to stay plant-based during the performance, why not? And then I tell them, finish the competition, go enjoy your burger or whatever it is. Then the athlete is more motivated than stopping something, because you should not stop. You should motivate the athlete with proof and then help them perform well, and then after that go enjoy their lives. Okay, that is how they stick to my programs, because I have only given them autonomous support. After that also, if they feel like, no, I'll eat this only, that's up to them, because it will increase their soreness, everything. But I said, why not use technology? Then a lot of them ask, like, if I don't eat, what will happen to my protein intake? So what I present to them is from sport nutritionists.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal protein, in particular meat, to get big and strong and perform at a high level. That's just clearly not true. All that protein that you get when you eat a steak or a hamburger, where did it come from? It came from the plants that the cow ate.
I was surprised to learn that all protein originates in plants. Cows, pigs, and chickens, it turns out, are just the middlemen. In fact, the largest study to compare the nutrient intake of meat eaters with plant eaters showed that the average plant eater not only gets enough protein, but 70% more than they need. Even meat eaters like me get roughly half of their protein from plants. But athletes need more protein than most people do. So I crunched the numbers from the study and realized that based on the amount of calories I was eating, I'd still be getting more than enough protein to build and maintain muscle. For example, 1 cup of cooked lentils or a peanut butter sandwich has about as much protein as 3 ounces of beef or 3 large eggs. But what about the quality of the protein? I'd always heard that plant-based protein was inferior.
Proteins are strings of amino acids. There are some amino acids our bodies can't make. Those are the essential amino acids. So we have to get them from food. And one of the arguments about animal-based proteins being superior is that plant-based proteins aren't complete, so you're not going to get all the amino acids. And that's a fallacy as well.
Again, I was surprised to discover that every single plant contains all the essential amino acids in varying proportions. And when it comes to gaining strength and muscle mass, research comparing plant and animal protein has shown that as long as the proper amount of amino acids are consumed, the source is irrelevant. This all sounded great in theory, but all the athletes I'd met so far were pretty lean. If getting lots of protein without animal foods really wasn't an issue, where were all the big guys? Kendrick Farris was the only male weightlifter to represent the United States at the 2012 and 2016 Olympic Games.
Olympic style weightlifting is going from the ground to overhead in 1 or 2 explosive movements, the most explosive movements that can be done. When I made the switch to a plant-based diet, they were like, I don't know how you're gonna lift that much weight and you're not gonna be eating anything, so you're gonna eat grass, like how are you gonna be strong?
So basically, you get my point. You can watch this clip on YouTube or something, I'll share this presentation, which you can have later on. So food's essential for optimum nutrition. So what we do is, like there is a debate that plant-based foods are not, don't have the entire amino acid profile, plus what can be used to enhance the athlete's performance and fill up the gaps. That is where people like us who do advanced supplementation and sports nutrition, we find out gaps through biomarkers, and then we, depending on what they want, but this is a non-negotiable chart where everybody has to have all these things. It comes with spirulina, walnuts, fish oil capsules. So fish oil capsule give us omega-3s. Okay, it has DHEA and EPA. So DHEA reduces your inflammation in the body. But how much do you need? It's at least 1000 milligrams per dose. So we find out how much the athlete needs. So we do a background study on what the athlete was leading, what kind of a life, and you won't believe that a lot of people, because of refined foods now, there has to be a balance of omega-6 and omega-3 in the body. So the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is 4:1, but because of today's lifestyle, it has moved to 20:1. Because of that, there is more inflammation, and most of you, once you pass out, you'll see cases with back pain. Okay, most of the time, their rate of, their perceived pain is much higher because they have elevated levels of omega-6. Okay, and if they are not rested and their HRV is disturbed, which again has correlation with your diet, you'll see they'll perceive pain more. So these are the lists. You'll get it. Don't worry about it. Now, how do we? So, for example, for a football person, how do we make the nutrition? What is advanced nutrition is? How do we make the chart? First is obviously the individual's normal nutrition and goal based. What is the person looking for? Is it endurance? Is it power? Then is the person sleep better? We modify the body composition. Obviously, a person carrying more body fat is not going to be as athletic as a person who's lean. Then we enhance training adaptations, we improve cognitive functions, and we assist rehabilitation also. So these are the kind of things that are covered in advanced sports nutrition. So this is not just, pop in some pills and have your normal nutrition and then just study the calorie needs. This is outdated now. Okay, when you need to succeed, you have to look at everything, because 1 or 2% for the athlete makes a lot of difference. Then we use supplements For recovery, there are supplements for recovery. There are during the match, what can help them increase their performance during the match. Daily, what should be taken all the time. So like vitamin D3 is one of the most important. Maximum 90% of the people I see, just by giving them extra vitamin D, their performance, their reaction time, everything changes. Their inflammation is reduced. Then probiotics. See, that bean burrito that the people had gotten didn't only have an effect on their blood lipids, it reacts, it gives a very good environment for the gut microbiota to flourish. Okay, we have a symbiotic relationship right from, even our mitochondria is believed to be a kind of bacteria that fuse with the human cell to produce energy in evolutionary science. So with bacteria, we have every human cell, we are 50 trillion human cells, we have 7 cells per human cell of bacteria in our body, which works symbiotically, right from our skin to our gut, everything. Spirulina is one of the oldest living form which learned to use the sun's energy for energy production. So, and it has a lot of evolutionary, and DNA enhancing, like our neurons. So in our neurons, we have 2 kinds of cells, right? So it helps the structural cells to flourish, okay, and repair. So basically the glial cells, what I meant. The glial cells give structure and it does the lymphatic drainage of the cell, so it helps them. So your brain is basically at its best on all neurons. Then walnuts. Now walnut is something which obviously nature has already given us a clue what it is good for. But a lot of people don't know that it actually drains excess omega-6 from the body. All the cooking oils and the refined oils that you have, if you want to cleanse an athlete, we use this to pull out the omega-6 and replace it with more omega-3. So we tell them not just to chew but try and add it. Now turmeric. Now America is doing research and wanted to patent it, which thankfully India opposed. That turmeric is a compound which is a superfood when it comes to reducing inflammation. But should you have it all the time? No, because you want a good adaptation from your training, which is through inflammation. That is the first mechanism of the human body. So we do not want turmeric at that time. We want it later on when the person is recovering. Okay, so we administer it at night when the athlete is resting, or if the athlete has inflammation. We don't administer it all the time. Now it has, whereas in sports, there is something known as working memory. Your coach gives you have you seen during IPL now, IPL is very popular at this time. You'll see this instant break that they take for 2 minutes between the match. The coach goes and gives them strategy and all. So if a athlete's working memory is not good, which I have seen which is not good, I'm trying to help them with cognitive motor training to improve that, they forget the instructions. As soon as they go into the competitive mode, all that essential cues that the coach had given is gone. Again they'll make the same mistake, and from outside coaches will be shouting, what are you doing? I told you to do this. Especially in badminton, it's such a reactive sport that you tell the athlete something and then they'll go and make the same mistake over. Okay, so these are known as unforced errors. So we not only help with training, but this will help them increase their working memory. So obviously inflammation is reduced in the brain as well. So we increase the working memory by almost 28%, which is a very big thing. Nowadays you get supplements, but I tell people to go for whole foods. So Northeast is blessed with the most potent turmeric. Okay, most bioavailable, so we use it. Then my athletes, when they read their diet, they say, you've given us dark chocolate. I said, yes, dark chocolate is a performance enhancer. And for women, it increases your metabolism. You can burn 300 calories extra just by doing nothing. Just add cocoa to your diet. Yeah, that doesn't give you an excuse to eat more and move less, but this is something, drinking cold water, having this will increase your metabolism and give you a benefit of added extra calories that are burned. Okay? But what does it do? Everybody has a genetic potential for muscle growth. But flavanol, okay? So this particular flavanol helps with the flexibility of the artery. Obviously, then there will be more blood flow. Then it is a myostatin inhibitor. So people who are hard gainers, who cannot gain muscle, we give them this so that they can gain muscles faster. Okay? Then obviously helps reduce the activity of the sympathetic nervous system and calm down. So we give them drinking chocolate later on, cold drinking chocolate and all. It helps with memory, sleep. But a compound known as PQQ again interacts with the gut microbiota. Do you know why the mother's milk is so powerful? It is powerful because it interacts and has the same compound with the gut microbiota. So a roasted bean of cocoa has the same compound. So we can obviously give them this. Then flax seeds, these are anti-cancer, but you have to powder them and have it. Again helps the gut microbiota produce, it has lignans. So nowadays you'll see a lot of cases where women are fighting breast cancer, ovarian cancer because of pollution and everything. So just 6 grams can help you fight cancer every day. But we give our athletes more than that, obviously, because they are not normal human beings. It helps with gut movement. A lot of people have, who are animal based food consumers have a problem with gut motility. We give them this. Stops muscle wasting, which obviously fish oil also does. So you're supposed to do this, powder it and have, because the human genes cannot digest shell, the plant cell. Okay, so you have to powder it and have it. Now gut microbiome, like I said, is a very, very important thing. But nowadays processed foods have a lot of salt, table salt. So doesn't matter if it's black salt, pink salt, it will still wipe out. It has few extra minerals, but it will still wipe out. It's like a sanitizer for the gut microbiota. So that's why I tell animal based food people also who are dependent on it, that nowadays a lot of antibiotics is given to them. So it kills the gut microbiota. And the bacteria evolves in 24 hours. Your DNA will not change, but the DNA of your gut microbiota changes overnight. So you have to be very careful on what you're eating, when you're eating. Now, why I don't suggest calories over whole food is, a lot of people will study calories and say, okay, this much calorie. But see, ultimately, our stomach is designed to give us a feedback with elasticity. How much you eat. If an athlete works hard and just has 400 calories of cheese, he's not going to fill them up, right? So he wants to feel fed, like full. So what kind of food should we give them to give them the benefit? So we show them, listen, it's the more food that you should eat rather than what calories you're eating. Okay? Then we give them these charts where what should they aim for and avoid. But some of them really enjoy their junk food, which is also designed by food scientists nowadays, taste engineers they are called, to trigger our center for addiction. Okay, so dopamine release. So these kind of foods have that, but we want to give it to them when it does not hinder their performance. For example, in the week after a competition. So we tell them, okay, eat towards the upper half of this chart, and later on when the competition is over, you can do this. You can harm yourself. Now now you have to understand that plant-based foods help our body produce more telomerase. This was this person who discovered this enzyme got the Nobel Prize for it. So we have our DNA has these protective end caps which protects our DNA, and so every human cell multiplies 50 times in its lifetime. Okay, it's known as the Hayflick limit. When you lose this cap because of inflammation, insulin resistance, there are only 3 reasons why this stops and someone ages is because of inflammation, insulin resistance, and oxidative stress. So these telomeres reduce. It's like a bumper for your car. It brakes and protects the car's body when there is an accident. And if your body loses it before time, the cell will not reproduce. Osteoarthritis, what is it? This is what goes wrong, and your soft tissues and all don't multiply, but it can be reversed and helped. So this is what we do with athletes who are little towards the outside, as in of their career, when they are about to go off in their 30s, maybe their recovery is not good, and osteoarthritis is a very, very real threat to them. So we tell them how to help themselves. And so this can be again replaced, but I don't think there is a test for it at the moment. So we have to assume that we are helping them do this, and it's a very feedback based thing. Now when it comes to women athletes, men are lucky, their hormonal cycle is completely stable. But as you can see, this is done by some sports performance thing. During the phase, there are different phases which will help or hinder in the performance. So when you're in the follicular phase, when you're in the mid cycle, and when you're towards the end, there are different. So you'll crave more food, and all the wrong kind of foods, because the body is in a storage saving when you become more lazy. So we cannot afford that when it comes to female athletes. So we give them a study on this, and we make them understand. We have apps which help them track their cycles and know what is happening. But a lot of time they are lost, especially the teenage girls. They don't know what's happening. They are suddenly emotional and they can't play. So we work synergistically with sports psychologists and help them understand what is going on physically, what can be done, what kind of foods to be had here, where they are likely to be stronger and more explosive, towards their endurance increases towards the later on of the phase, because the body is using more fat. So this is something we tell them what to do. So thank you so much, and I'm concluding, and please do follow me. I can do a bit more with followers and help spread the message, nothing else. So I hope this was intriguing for you and enlightening. Thank you so much.
To deliver the vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this seminar on advanced sports nutrition. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our guest speaker, Prateek Barbora sir, for enlightening us with your knowledge and presence, and also for sharing your experiences. I would also like to thank our HOD ma'am, Dr. Lopadas, for her enthusiastic support and supervision. A special thanks to the organizing committee, teaching and non-teaching staff, and IT department for their support and coordination. Lastly, I would like to thank our dear students for their active participation and patience. With these few words, we come to the end of this seminar. Thank you all.